Here are 5 competencies that you need in order to grow yourself as a leader. So if you don't know me, my name is Christy. I was a regional director for a cannabis company here in Florida. I ran 33 stores across the entire state. And here's some of the things that I learned the hard way in order to be that leader. The first thing was emotional intelligence. You really have to have a high EI. And EI is really interesting because it's not just about your own emotions, it's also about other people's emotions. Really, really important to understand where people are emotionally, where you are emotionally, and to be able to regulate in really deep conversations and sometimes really emotional conversations. Very, very important to have high emotional intelligence. The next one is communication. Why is communication so important? Communication is not just about standing up and presenting things. While that's really important to be able to stand up and talk and present things to people, it's also really important to be able to actively listen to people, to understand what they're saying. How many times have you stood there and you're listening to what somebody has to say and you're just waiting for your turn to talk? We all do it. We've all done it. We've all been there before. It's really, really important that you are actively listening to what they have to say, because you miss so much of that person and what's happening around you if you don't actively listen to them. So huge part of communication. The third one I would say is resilience. And why is resilience so important? Because as you are elevating yourself and you are starting to lead leaders and to lead teams of people, elevating that resilience is going to be crucial, because you're going to come up against a lot of different opinions and ideas, and resilience will keep you going through those obstacles and keeping you strong. And so it's really important that you work on your resilience, because not everything is going to go your way. Not all the ideas you have, everybody else is going to be aligned with. And sometimes it's really challenging for you to be resilient when you really have this idea that you think is going to work. The other people around you have ideas that they think is going to work. And you have to find a middle ground, because all of it essentially is for the greater good. It's not always about you. So you run into a lot of egos that you have to manage. And that's a really tough thing to do, as well as managing your own ego. Adaptability. So adaptability is really important. You're going to be constantly changing. Rules are going to be changing. You have to be able to manage and navigate all of those items. So I would say adaptability is so important. You have to be okay with change. And the last one is conflict management. So conflict management is really important, because I will tell you that feedback is the most important thing. And I think I learned this along the way. I think earlier in my career, I think were moments where I did not pause to listen to how people felt. And that's so important, to make sure that you're listening to what people have to say, because that's where the conflict begins, right? Where people feel like they have not been heard, and then they don't have a voice. And feedback is the most important thing. It is a gift. When people give you feedback, you have two options. You can say, oh, you know what? Screw you. I don't want to hear what you have to say. Or you can take it and you can say, man, does this sit with me? What in this feedback resonates? What do I need to fix to adjust myself so I can be the best version of myself I can be? And you also have to be brave enough to give feedback. If somebody does something to you and it hurts you, if the relationship is important, you have to tell them. 90% of the time, that person didn't mean to hurt you. 90% of the time, if you would have used your voice and spoke up and said, I need to understand why you're doing this, I need this to make sense, you can continue the relationship. And if the relationship is important, you have to be able to have those conversations. Conflict management, whether it's professional or personal, probably one of the top 5 skills that you need to be a great leader. If you need any help or support, you're trying to get to the next level and you don't know how, shoot me a message, like, follow, and share, and I'll continue to give you tips and tricks on how I did what I did and see where you're at. I hope you have a great day. Shine bright.